Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Nice to meet you again, students. Welcome back to poetry class. Last week, we talked about word choice and word order. And in that topic, we talk about many things about word choice and word order. And we have some terms, for example here, keen knife, and then what else? Poetic diction, yeah. What else? Fleecy care, blood red wine, steel driving man. And then we also talk about elementary feelings, greater simplicity. And then we also talk about the word like kingly has more power than regal. And then what else? And finally, last week, we come to this page. We have the word falkit here. The meaning, speech not much affected by schooling. So, falkit is spoken by illiterate person. And then what else? We also find levels of diction. A sort of ladder is imagined on whose rungs words. Phrases and sentences may be ranked in an ascending order of formality. So it is rank from the curses of an illiterate thug to the commencement day address of a doctor of divinity. So from illiterate until man who has title doctor. These levels range from falkit through colloquial. So today we talk about this level of diction. These levels range from falkit through colloquial, the casual conversation or informal writing, more studied than colloquial general English. Most literate speech and writing, more studied than colloquial but not pretentious, up to formal English, the impersonal language of educated persons, usually only written, possibly spoken on dignified occasions. So we have three levels here: colloquial, conversation, language of conversation, and then general English. According to this explanation, general English is most literate speech and writing, more studied than colloquial. And the highest is formal English. Usually it is in writing, yeah? But it can also be spoken, for example, in seminar or conference, yeah? Dignified occasions like seminar and conference. Recently, however, lexicographers have been shunning such levels. The designation colloquial was expelled from Webster's Third New International Dictionary on the grounds that it is impossible to know whether a word out of context is colloquial or not, and that the diction of Americans nowadays is more fluid than the other language. So, according to this explanation, now colloquial was expelled, was thrown away, yeah, from Webster's Third New International Dictionary, but maybe still in other dictionaries. According to this explanation, American English is more fluid, yeah, more flexible than other kinds of English. For example, European English, or maybe British English, or Australian English, New Zealand English, etc. There are many kinds of English, but according to this explanation, American English is more fluid. Aware that we are being unscientific, we may find the labels useful. They may help roughly to describe what happens when, as in the following poem, a poet shifts from one level of usage to another. So according to this explanation, aware that we are being unscientific, we may find the labels useful. So the labels, colloquial, general English, or formal English, is still useful for us as English learners. And here we have an example, a poem who shifts from one level of usage to another. So the poet shifts from one level of usage to another. And this is the poem by Robert Herrick. The title is Upon Julia's Clothes. So I want to inform you that Robert Herrick often praise Julia. We don't know exactly who is Julia. If you, for example, remember Ebit Ade, yeah? Ebit Ade also has a person who he praises. Her name is Camelia. Camelia in Robert Ade used until 6 songs. Camelia, I mean. Camelia 1, Camelia 2, Camelia 3, until Camelia 6. It's similar with Robert Herrick. In many occasions, Robert Herrick also praises Julia. Here, in this case, he praises her clothes, upon Julia's clothes. Whenas inserts my Julia goes, then methinks how sweetly flows that liquefaction of her clothes. Next, when I cast mine eyes and see that brief vibration its way free, oh how that glittering takes me. Pay attention here, the word whenas. Whenas is very formal. Usually, you will say when. Insults my Julia goes. So here, Julia wear clothes from silks. Silks is glowing. You know, yeah, the meaning of silks. Then methinks how sweetly flows that liquefaction of her clothes. So here, Robert Herrick feels that the movement of the clothes are very sweet, very beautiful. How sweetly flows the clothes worn by Julia is very beautiful, according to Robert Herrick. And then next, when I cast mine eyes and see that brief vibration each way free, oh how that glittering takes me. So when the clothes vibrate, vibration like this, and then oh how that glittering takes me. The cloth is glittering, is glowing. glowing. The clothes is glowing because of being made from silks. Even in so short a poem as Upon Julia's Clothes, we see how a sudden shift in the level of diction can produce a surprising and memorable effect. So this is a short poem, Upon Julia's Clothes, and there are some sudden shift of level of diction. And according to this explanation, it produces a surprising and memorable effect. One word in each stanza, liquefaction in the first, vibration in the second, stands out from the standard, but not extravagant language that surrounds it. So remember, the word liquefaction, usually it is not used for clothes. It is used especially in earthquake. When you remember in Sulawesi, maybe several months ago, liquefaction, it is a kind of movement from the earth, liquefaction. Especially it is used in earthquake, but here in this poem, Robert Herrick used it in a poem. And also vibration. Vibration also, it is not common in portraying clothes. But here, Robert Herrick used this word. Because what? Because he wants that his words or his poem give surprising and memorable effect. So the readers will always remember this poem. This is what he wants, what Robert Herrick wants happen to the reader. Try to imagine the entire poem being written in such formal English, in mostly unfamiliar words of several syllables each. The result, in all likelihood, would be merely an oddity and a target one at that. So, if he is not clever enough to use the language, then the language will be odd and target. But by using such terms sparingly, Herrick allows them to take on a greater strength and significance through their contrast with the words that surround them. So, choosing special words, choosing exact words will give a surprise to the readers, will give something memorable. It is liquefaction in particular that strikes the reader, like a great catch by an outfielder. It impresses both for its appropriateness in the situation and for its sheer beauty as a demonstration of superior skill. So here, Robert Herrick uses his superior skill of demonstrating the words. As you know that not all words can be placed in a situation. So the words must be appropriate. It reflects the superiority of the writer. Once we have read the poem, we realize that the effect would be severely compromised, if not ruined, by the substitution of any other word in its place. So remember the place, word and its place. Word can mean many things if it is placed in a suitable place. But remember, it also can mean nothing if it is placed at another place. At present, most poetry in English avoids elaborate literary expressions such as fleecy care in favor of more colloquial language. In many English-speaking areas, such as Scotland, there has even been a movement to write poems in regional dialects. So nowadays, poetry in English avoid using formal English. English-speaking areas, English-speaking areas like Scotland, Ireland, and England, they are English-speaking areas, especially native speakers. Yeah? Because in many other places, like in America, in Australia, in New Zealand, all of them speak English. But here, in this passage, we only talk about English-speaking areas, which is specific in Great Britain. Yeah? Great Britain is Scotland, Ireland, and England. And according to this explanation, nowadays they like to write poems in regional dialects. What is dialect? A dialect is a particular variety of language spoken by an identifiable regional group or social class of persons. So dialect like dialect in several tribes, yeah? Dialect in Scotland, and maybe in Scotland there are many also dialects. In Indonesia we have many dialects, yeah? Indonesian, but Madurese dialect, yeah? And then Javanese dialect, Sundanese dialect, Batak dialects, etc. Dialect poets frequently try to capture the freshness and authenticity of the language spoken in their immediate locale. So they want to take freshness and authenticity. Like several language, if we come to the place, for example, if we go to Surabaya, the freshness, the authenticity of Javanese in Surabaya is different from Javanese in Solo or Jogja, or maybe Javanese in Banyuwangi. Yeah? Javanese in Banyuwangi, in some ways, is influenced by Bali. Yeah? And then Surabaya, in some ways, is influenced by Madura. And Solo and Yogyakarta, in some ways, is influenced by Kingdom of Mataram. So that's dialect. According to this explanation, dialect poets frequently try to capture the freshness and authenticity of the language spoken in their immediate locale. Yeah? So in specific place. Most Americans know at least part of one Scottish dialect poem by heart. Auld Lang Syne, the song commonly sung as the clock strikes 12 on New Year's Eve. Although Robert Burns wrote most of the song's stanzas, the poet claimed to have copied down the most opening stanza following from an old man he heard singing. Old is the Scots word for old. Lang Syne means long since. How different the lines would seem if they were standard English. So here we will have an example of a poem. The title Old Lang Syne. Yeah? It is from Scotland, and according to this explanation, Robert Burns uh, copied it from an old man he had singing. So, like when we are in a village, usually someone is singing uh, very slowly, and then we as listener want to imitate or want to copy the song. And this is the example. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of old lang syne? And days of old lang syne, my dear, and days of old lang syne. Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of old lang syne? This is the language, the point. Yeah? Old acquaintance. So it is a kind of very, very old friend, yeah? Acquaintance, meet in a very short time. Is it, should old be forgot? Should the one we meet some days ago be forgot and never brought to mind, and we don't think it anymore? And then it also again repeated again and repeated again, and then and should old acquaintance be forgot and this our old lang syne. It is kind of remember, yeah, remember happenings in the past. Now we read the explanation. Not only the poet's choice of words makes a poem seem more formal or less, but also the way the words are arranged into sentences. Compare these lines. Now we compare the lines with here. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after. So it is a song. Yeah? Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after. Jack and Jill is a friend. Yeah? Jack went to hill and also Jill. And then they fetched a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and then Jill tumbling after. So he also fell down. With Milton's account of a more significant downfall. Jack and Jill is a song. If I'm not mistaken, it is a biblical song. Yeah? And usually it is quoted by a Christian to portray something. Now we compare the poem with this song, yeah? By Milton. A song by Milton, Paradise Lost. More significant downfall. Yeah? Downfall from paradise. Earth trembled from her entrails as again in pangs, and nature gave a second groan. Skylord and muttering thunder, etc. So when Adam fell to the earth trembled from her entrails as again in pangs, and nature gave a second groan. So it is a kind of earthquake, yeah, when Adam falls from the paradise, skylord and muttering thunder. So sky scream, yeah, and muttering thunder, the thunder, yeah, the lightning. They go to the earth, yeah, repeatedly, wept at completing of the mortal sin original, while Adam took no thought eating his will, nor if to iterate her former trespass feared, the more to soothe him with beloved society, that now, as with new wine intoxicated, both the swim in mirth and fancy that they feel, divinity within them breathing wings, wherewith to scorn the earth. So it is a mortal sin from Adam and Eve, when they took no thought eating his fill. They Adam and Eve eat fruit, yeah, huldi fruit, eating his fill. And then what else? The more to soothe him with her loved society, that now as with new wine intoxicated both the swim in myth and fancy that they feel. They feel that by eating the fruit, they will be happy, they will be eternal, they will be in paradise forever. But actually, it is sinful, and it makes them, Adam and Eve, fall to the earth. Not all the words in Milton's lines are bookish. Indeed, many of them can be found nursery rhymes. What helps, besides diction, to distinguish this account of the biblical fall from Jack and Jill is that Milton's non-stop sentence seems further removed from usual speech in its length. 83 words in its complexity, subordinate clauses, and it in its word order, with new wine intoxicated both, rather than both intoxicated with new wine. So please compare the language used, yeah, in Jack and Jill and in Paradise Lost. Compare the use with new wine intoxicated both, and then both intoxicated with new wine. Why they use that kind of expression? So it is a kind of expression, diction, level of diction in poetry, especially the poem titled Paradise Lost. Should we think less or more highly of Milton for choosing a style so elaborate and formal? No judgment need be passed. Both Mother Goose and the author of Paradise Lost use language appropriate to their purposes. So remember the keywords in the last lines. Language appropriate to their purposes. For example, dialect, very informal language, can be used in several occasions, but not in other occasions. Remember, language appropriate to their purposes. It depends on the purpose. Not all language can be applied to several occasions. Among languages, English is by no means the most flexible. English words must be used in fairly definite and inviolable patterns, and whoever departs too far from them will not be understood. So English is by no means the most flexible, yeah? But English words must be used in fairly definite and inviolable patterns. The patterns of English grammar is very fixed, very definite, very inviolable. It cannot be changed, because if you change the structure, you will get different meanings. In the sentence, Ken slew Abel, if you change the word order, you change the meaning. Abel slew Cain. Such inflexibility was not true of Latin, in which a poet could lay down words in almost any sequence end, because their endings or inflections showed what parts of speech they were, would trust that no reader could mistake a subject for an object. So remember, the structure of English is different from the structure of other languages. For example, here, Cain slew Abel will be different with Abel slew Cain in English. But in Latin language, you can use it. You can change the position of subject, verb, and object. Like in Chinese, you can also change the structure, but the structure is different. So every language has specific rule of its grammar. And here, I want to emphasize that English is definite and inviolable. E. Cummings has striven in certain of his poems for the freedom of Latin. One such poem, anyone lived in a pretty town. The rigidity of English word order invites the poet to defy it and to achieve unusual effects by inverting it. It is customary in English to place adjective in front of noun. For example, a blue mantle, new pastures. But an unusual emphasis is achieved when Milton ends Lycidas by reversing the pattern. Ends, yeah? With E, not A. Ends Lycidas by reversing the pattern. Ends here means finish. At last he rose and tweets his mantle blue. Tomorrow to fresh woods and pastures new. So please remember the place of blue here. Mantle blue. Actually, blue mantle. Pastures new. Actually, new pastures. But he wants. I mean, Milton wants to emphasize blue and new here. Why? This is the explanation. Perhaps the inversion in mantle blue gives more prominence to the color associated with heaven. And in Lycidas, heaven is of prime importance. Perhaps the inversion in pastures new, stressing the new, heightens the sense of a rebirth. So here Milton wants to emphasize blue. Sorry for this blue here. I want to remind you, blue here, according to the explanation, associated with heaven. So according to Milton, the color of paradise is blue. It reflects peacefulness. And new, pastures new, he wants to emphasize it reflects rebirth. Rebirth from something something new, something like Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve are birthed in paradise. Coleridge offered two homely definitions of prose and poetry. That is, prose, words in their best order, poetry, the best words in the best order. If all goes well, a poet may fasten the right word into the right place, and the result may be, as T.S. Eliot said in Little Kidding, a complete concert dancing together. So here, the conclusion or statement from Coleridge: the difference or the definitions of prose and poetry. Prose, words in their best order. Words in their best order. But poetry, the best words in the best order. And remember, if all goes well, a poet may fasten the right word into the right place, and the result will be a complete sub-dancing together. So it is kind of dance, but different from My Papa's Waltz dance. My Papa's Waltz is different from this statement. Complete concert dancing together means there is a cooperation between those who dance. So the dance will be beautiful. If in My Papa's Waltz, the dance is not beautiful. So this is all about levels of diction. Level of diction in this occasion, I want to emphasize that level of diction means that in a poem, in one poem, a poet can shift from informal, from colloquial to general English to formal English, and also vice versa. From formal English to informal English or colloquial. And it makes, or the writer wants to emphasize something. Not only the level of diction, also the place of the words. Usually, adjective is placed before noun, but sometimes a poet places adjective after noun because he wants to emphasize that the color is important, that adjective is important. Okay, I think it's enough for today, and see you next time. Stay safe, stay healthy. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.